Baby, listen. If you thought Robert De Niro was scary in the 1990s version of Cape Fear, honey, I fear you have seen nothing yet. Baby, this cold open where this lady, and trigger warning, self harm. But when she takes that blicky and does the unexpected, and I see splash on the wall, I don't expect you to pick up a call 2 minutes later saying you did it wrong and it hurts and you got to do it again. Max Cady must be stopped. My name is Ashley, and this is My Sweet Perspective, where I give my take on all things TV and movie related, and I am here to put you on, okay? So, y'all, welcome back to the channel. If you guys are new here, my name is Ashley. This is My Sweet Perspective, where I give my take on all the things TV and movie related. Y'all know I'm here to put you on, and we are back to talk Cape Fear, y'all. Cape Fear episodes 1 and 2 that dropped on Apple TV just this week. This will be a 10 episode limited series that came out June 5th. This will air weekly until we get to the finale. This was created by Nick Antosca, executive produced by Martin Scorsese and Steven Spielberg. This is based on John D. MacDonald's 1957 novel, The Executioners. This follows the 1962 film and the 1991 picture. It stars Javier Bardem as Max Cady, Amy Adams as Anna Bowden, Patrick Wilson as Tom Bowden, CCH Pounder as Noah Toussaint, with Lily Callias as Natalie and Joe Anders as Zack the kids. Anna isn't a wife being terrorized for no reason and subject to Max Cady's sexual desires. This Anna, she's guilty of something, y'all. And we're going to get into it. This is totally different.
It's totally different. Point blank, not in front of period.
Y'all, than what I was expecting. If you've watched either the Robert Mitchum version from 1962 or the 1991 version with Robert De Niro, you know that Max Cady has always been a horrifying presence, especially the 90s version. Robert De Niro, while I think he was captivating in the role, it was very much almost a predictable villain. We already knew he was a Smex monster, whether or not he was in jail because of what the husband had done or not. You felt like he needed to be there forever and that he was just always terrible and corrupt. That's how the story is painted. Now, in this version, it's more modern. We're more interested now in the psychology behind and the why of the thing in this one. And it's more cerebral in that way for me. And it's really about destroying this family by fingers and toes. It's way more than Max Cady standing outside being scary and trying to devour Juliette Lewis and being a sex crazed, freaked out predator. It's way deeper than that over here. The Bowdens are clearly guilty of something, and these first 2 episodes have me questioning everything. Do they actually deserve what Max Cady is bringing? Anna and Tom are not perfect nuclear family whatsoever. He's a crackhead, microdosing and having an affair, in my opinion, from the context clues laid out. Natalie is a 30-year-old living in a 17-year-old's body, playing Patty Perfect, seen and not heard. Zack is already a lunatic. And Anna, honey, Anna is bearing the weight of her privilege, in my opinion. I immediately have feelings about Anna after watching these first 2 episodes. And of course, we have Max Cady, who already knows the tea and is ready to dismantle this family inch by inch because you're going to pay. The setting is modern day Savannah, Georgia, and you feel it. You feel it. When you look at it, the first episode, you're like, oh, it's humid here. But it's beautiful. We have the weepy willows, we have the trees draping. It honestly puts you in the mind immediately. I thought, okay, we're either in Louisiana or Savannah or maybe even Charleston. That's the vibe that it gives. On July 4th weekend, we're having a cookout and a sudden storm breaks up. And I think this is foreshadowing for the rest of the series. Something's on the way. Again, the biggest change right away is that Anna is central. This isn't a wife that's just, kind of on the fringes and she is what is the word I'm looking for, and she's just collateral damage. No, She's got the onus. And honestly, in my opinion, she wears the pants in this family. Anna's a part of the story. She is a part of the guilt, in my opinion. And the only reason that Max is now targeting this family in the first place. So let's get into the showrunner's note before we dive into all the things. This is a letter Nick Antosca wrote to press when, prior to the release, and just to explain what he was going for with this. Again, he says that he saw Cape Fear when he was way too young and it stuck with him. And not just the villain, not Max Cady, but how easily this safe family gets ripped to shreds. Each version mirrors its error. He says the 1960s version gave us a monster and a virtuous all-American family. The 90s kept the monster but broke the family and had one of the weakest fathers ever. Fathers and husbands in the history of cinema, in my opinion. And this 2026 version makes both more complicated. His new question, on top of the old, what would you do to protect your family, is the one that powers the whole show. What is the dark side of righteous anger? And I love that. What I'm loving about this so far, and I've seen the critics out there talking about this is way too long. We didn't need 10 episodes of this. They could have wrapped this up in a cute 6 or 8. But I'm enjoying the ride. Like, I know they're saying it's a slow burn. I don't feel the slow burn of it. I thought the first 2 episodes were perfectly paced. I like how I'm in this position of really questioning now Max. Like, is he really the monster they say he is? Was this a scheme set up by Todd to come to us with the BS? And I like that. And I think that speaks to not only the showrunner, but the actors and actresses over here. This just isn't a scary man that comes back. It's what happened when people are wronged by this alleged do gooders. And so let's get into it. And also, I feel like let's get into Antosca and why he's here and why this fits. He is an interesting pick. And I'll say this, I have seen 2 of his prior projects. I've seen The Act, which was a Hulu original that he co-created with someone else. And then I also saw A Friend of the Family. Now, both of these are true crime dramatic adaptations that he converted into series. And both I was sat for. The Act was impeccable. I believe we had Patricia Arquette over there acted down, and that was the Gypsy Rose Blanchard story. And we got insight into both Gypsy and her mother, and the presentation was excellent. And so I'm like, okay, this is his version of storytelling, and I'm completely here for it. The other was A Friend of the Family about the Brobergs in Idaho, Utah. Child. If you haven't seen that, watch a documentary first called Hidden in Plain Sight, and then go watch that dramatic series. You'll get everything you need. But I see exactly what he's doing over here, the exact same interest, really diving into families and how they unravel. Seemingly perfect on the outside, but behind the scenes, it's something totally different. And I think that's what we're getting over here. Other credits include Channel Zero and Brand New Cherry Flavor. So keep that in mind. And if you haven't watched, again, A Friend of the Family or The Act, go run those up because they're actually very good. Now, let's get into the biggest changes here between the De Niro and Bardem, Max Cady, and this whole story. Let's talk about the changes from the De Niro version and the Bardem version. So, change one, Anna matters way more. Again, 1991 centered on Sam Bowden. Here, Anna was Max's defense attorney. Okay, which makes her central to both the guilt and the threat. Also, over here, she's not just that attorney, that defense attorney back then. She's now working for SJLP, which is like an innocence project nonprofit where she tries to exonerate people who are wrongly accused. So I have this strong moral compass, this true north that I'm working towards, yet I have this thing lurking in my past. Change two, both Bowdens are implicated. So while she was the defense attorney, her husband, Tom, was the prosecuting attorney. Max was defended by Anna. They lost, okay, because he pled guilty upon her orders. And Tom was the person who prosecuted the case. She was already pregnant at trial. And apparently she went into labor on the courtroom floor. He took her to the hospital and she knew from that moment that he was her one. And so they get married. So again, the prosecuting attorney of Max and his defense attorney are now married. Yeah. Already, the plot thickens. Change 3, the fear is updated for 2026. Again, this just isn't a freaked out sex predator who's coming to prey on the daughter or the son in that way. This is really about like podcasters, like the digital age, social media, cancel culture, all of those things kind of play a role now. How can I elicit some public shame? How can I indirectly shift blame here and have people really looking at the true things? And I like that because in 2026, I think that's far more cerebral and far more scary for a lot of people. And so, change 4, there's 10 episodes. We're coming from 4.5, cute, maybe 2 hour movie in the 90s to now 10 full, almost hour long episodes. And we've got time to build this thing up. And like I said, I'm completely set. Now, as far as the differences between De Niro's Max and Bardem's Max, is that while De Niro was scary at times, and I just recently watched Cape Fear in preparation for this series, it almost felt cartoonish. His villainy was so strong and it just wasn't nuanced back then. And it didn't have to be in the 90s. And so I really was like, okay, we know he's guilty. I don't give a damn what he did. He should have kept you in there longer. He should have planted evidence to keep you in there longer, not just said, that lady wasn't promiscuous or whatever the situation was. Bardem, first of all, is fine. I never seen No Country for Old Men. Bardem was not fine. This Bardem is fine. And I said, I don't know if it came with his older age. I don't know what happened, but I know I'm outside. But when he makes his entrance, when he makes his full appearance, I was like, well, damn. But he's measured, he's smart. And I mean, De Niro's was smart. He had learned the law and done all those things, but he's charismatic. Like he fills up the room when he walks in. There's something so foreboding about his presence. He just fills it up. And like I said, while De Niro was scary, to me, Bardem is terrifying in this series. But, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Let's get into episode 1. This is going to really set the stage for who the Bowdens are, what their current mission is, the angst within the family, and also our introduction into Max. So we, again, immediately meet the Bowdens and, they're entertaining and they're working towards this cause. Again, we immediately see Tom microdosing something. I don't know if he's got the cycle, blah, 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 the psychedelic in there or what he's doing, but he's dropping every chance he gets. He's getting strange cell phone calls from women that he's entertaining, child. I don't know for certain, but I feel like he is literally having an affair. They have a son who is already a predator, in my opinion. He then took some pictures of the little girl and shared it in the group chat and got, expelled from this people's school. And now he just sulks playing video games with some woman who I don't even think is really a woman, who I think is Max the whole time, but he hates his parents. He hates what they represent. He says you protect rich people and you put the poor people into jail. That's what you do. Tom and Anna, she clearly wears the pants in the family, and she is on a press tour for her nonprofit because we're trying to raise dollars to free people who have no reason to be in jail. They've been falsely accused, and she works with Noah Toussaint, played by the CCH Pounder, and she is the fundraiser, the head of this organization, who really don't give a damn about anything else. Listen, we need this money, Marcus. Everything else be damned. But Anna is, to me, how she's presented as a very entitled, a very staunch, rigid type of character so far, who runs the family. And then we have Tom, who's really laid back, kind of like, whatever happens, happens. But it really kind of gives that this is the great American dream. This is the family. This is what, we want it to be. The marriage seems like there doesn't seem to be steam heat in this marriage. Again, they're dealing with their lunatic son, trying to figure out what's going on with him. And seemingly she's trying to do what's right in the world. And honestly, it made me think, is this some sort of penance for a previous crime? Like, before we got into it at all, I was asking myself that question, like, Anna girl, what are you working so hard at this for? Okay. Then we have Natalie, who is the unassuming daughter, who is picking up all the pieces, who is literally her brother's keeper, who is walking downtown in her best dress and her hokas, child, walking down the street to find her brother, knocking on doors, doing everything that she can to not be, too much. She already feels like she's kind of like the exiled child, so she needs to be perfect because while Anna's her mother, Tom is not her biological father. And so I see her working to gain approval throughout this. But also, I think there's more to her. And we'll definitely see where that goes on. She's kind of pivotal in a lot of the main moments to me that were major red flags. And we're going to get to these red flags again. So now we're setting the stage. We're preparing for this benefit. We have someone that we've gotten off, Byron, who was locked up forever. His mama's on oxygen, honey. And we've gotten Byron, and he's just trying to adjust to life on the outside. But we need him for the donors, for the sponsors. So we have a little pre party just to get everybody meeting each other, networking. Because if you've been like adjacent to the nonprofit space or worked in nonprofits, you know that you have to hobnob, you have to rub elbows, you have to talk, you have to put the information out there so that you can gain funding for your work. And so as we're doing all of this and preparing, all these other things are happening in the background. We find first red flag that there are a family of skunks in the pool as she's on her press tour being interviewed. The daughter pulls them out, and I'm like, okay, move. Move immediately. If you have ever done any wrongdoing in your life, just move because why are four skunks in the pool being pulled out? It's a red flag. It's a red flag. Get out of there, okay? Especially if you knew you were up to no good. Also, in this interview, second red flag, the reporter actually even kind of tells Anna, like, hey, let's talk about Max Cady case. Are we off the record? That's Anna. Are we off the record? Girl, what? Have you heard the news? Oh, you haven't heard all these things. And so there's a lot of foreshadowing leading to what eventually happens. And so now it's time for the night of this big fundraiser where we have to get Byron up there, but we're going to his door and no one's answering. We see as the audience that, you know, he's laid out in the background somewhere. Okay, so it's the night. Byron's not available. We get there. Anna's supposed to get up there. Noah is freaking out because I need this money. I need this money. Okay. And so she gets up there, she's speaking. All of a sudden, we see Max enter the room. All eyes on me when I walk in. Okay. He walks in, and immediately Anna is gobsmacked because what the hell? We heard on the news already that he was out and he's doing his little, press run. But now she's sitting up here trembling because what is he going to say? And of course, he wants the mic and he wants to talk about justice and innocence and how I just got out after 17 years for a crime I didn't commit. This woman who took herself out that we saw in the opening of this series, she did it. She had all the plans. She had the weapon. She had all of the things. And my lawyer, Anna here, told me to plead guilty. But do I blame her? No, 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 no. Of course not. But I did hear you got married. It's not Anna Devereaux anymore. It's Anna Bowden now. Right? And Tom, hey, how are you? You were the prosecutor. So while it's not direct blame, it's definitely exposure in this moment. And he gives his whole speech about, every day he died while he was in prison, those 6,000 plus days that he was there by fingers and toes, baby, fingers and toes every time. It was a slow death. He was supposed to get a plea deal for 17 years, or excuse me, for 20 years, I believe, and ended up getting life. hmm Yeah, but no, he's not bitter. Now he wants to raise money for the people and, celebrate the good work. Immediately after, Anna's like, what are you doing here? What is it that you want? What do you mean? What do I want? I just wanted to, support the cause. I just wanted to be right there, buddy. I just wanted to be there for you. Mind you, during all this time, Max has been missing. He's over there apparently playing video games with the girl, but he's not because he's having visions of Max Cady's unalived son. Because the whole thing is that Max unalived his pregnant wife. And that's why he went to the Pinta for all these years. And so now the son, Zack, is, having visions of sugar plums dancing in his head while he's over there, just kind of cracked out, laid out, missing. And so we have the benefit, Max and Anna's interaction. He ends up cutting himself and falling out on the floor. And I said, is he trying to throw them off the fact that he's a lunatic? Tom is like, it's fine. Are you ready to go home? She's wrapping up and binding his wound. And he says something pivotal in this moment. He says, I didn't tell anybody. I never told anybody. Anna, I never told anybody. And I'm like, what did you never tell anybody? So I'm sure we'll get to that eventually. Noah is like, listen, he's who we need on the team. Byron was MIA. We need him on the team to help us get this money. Now we get back home from the benefit. We get back home to our elaborate home. What gets me with Anna's character is this whole time is she's acting like she's wronged. Like she's the injured party that he even showed up. And I'm like, oh, if you did this, what I think you did, which is set this man to go to prison for life, then baby, you get what you get and you can't throw a fit. Oh, what webs we weave when we practice to deceive. You know what I mean? So anyway, we get back home and the alarm is, doing all of the things at the home because I fear Max has already been in his house. I fear Max has already been in his house. I know he has. But we're there and we're still looking for son because where is he? What's going on? And so we all go outside and Max is there because apparently Anna has left her purse or he stole her purse. He said, yeah, it had all your information in there, your ID, your license, your social security card, your food handler's card. It had all of those things. And so I just had to come and see. I just had to come see about you and give you back. They said, can you just set it down on the corner and exit stage left? He said, yeah, I know where you live. This is another red flag. The alarm's going off, the family of skunks in the pool, and finally him popping up at your house. Go home. And he says, yeah, is your son okay? And they're like, what do you know about our son? Oh, he's out front. He's bleeding out on the pavement out front. Yeah, I thought you might want to know. So we grab the son. Tom is so weird. Anna stays out here with Max. And I'm like, girl, if you don't go in the house, and Tom leaves her because you don't need protection or help with this person who's been in the Pinta for 100 years that you set up to be. Anyway, he goes in to see about the son, and the son is just like, I need something to drink. He's not talking. He's catatonic in this moment as if he's in some sort of shock. And at this point, Tom doesn't recognize the blood at all. Anna gets rid of Max, comes in the house and sees the footprints of blood and is like, what's going on? You see my baby bleed? Or what? We take off his shoe, baby, and his toe is gone. And she has a flashback in her mind, fingers and toes and fingers and toes, head, shoulders, knees and toes. And immediately now it's a problem. Now that your son is toeless and high and all of the things. Episode 1, in my opinion, was exceptional. I had a great time over here. Let's get into episode 2. Now, this is where it gets even deeper because episode 2 opens up with a very brutal prison fight from 7 years ago that it was beyond me. It was beyond me. They are not afraid to go there with the gore and the blood in this series. So if you have a strong aversion to that, baby, I would say, fast forward, close your eyes during the parts. But this prison flashback was almost equivalent to damn Frank over there in The Punisher. If you saw the scene in The Punisher where Frank has to take on the whole jail because Kingpin set him up for the okie doke, that's what this was kind of giving. Not to that extreme. I'm being a little bit hyperbolic, but listen, it was almost there. Because I got to beat all these men in the White Room, the Brotherhood of the... Listen, I got to beat them all down. And honestly, what I was thinking the whole time is, was this a hired hit? Like, was it not enough to get this man locked up? Anna, did you put a hit out on this man? Questions that need answers, but someone wanted him gone and they wanted him gone badly. But I fear he ended up breaking all them boys down like a fraction. It was brutal. Now, Zack is in the hospital. We're trying to talk to the doctors. The doctor wanted, does he have any mental health issues? Is he on anything? And we have to hear the story, of course, about what he had done to the little girl before. The son hears it and he's aggravated because I hate my freaking parents. Next thing I know, Anna's working her way down the hallway and we find out that they've gone and they've arrested Max. And he's hit the officers because, like, hey, what are you doing here? And he's there. And we got to see his body full of tattoos. And Anna's over there because she's got to watch. And then, what do you want? What do you want with my son? There's too many close interactions. And she feels too comfortable, y'all. She feels too comfortable with Max. I don't know. Drop your thoughts. Drop your feelings about that because I don't understand. I don't understand. Meanwhile, Natalie's at home with her raggedy friend who I think she's bumping pocketbooks with because who please ding dong ditch like that? Heifer rings the door. I leave the door open to go look out. She sneaks in behind her in a hoodie and I'm like, who are you? Mind you, there is some sort of redheaded woman in a hoodie, in a green raincoat, rain slicker hoodie, who's everywhere, who's in the hospital, bumping into Anna, who's outside walking on the street, closing gates, who's around Max. I don't know who this woman is, but I fear she is pivotal to the story in some way. So anyway, we're over there at the house and Natalie takes her friend and the house is under construction. We find an altar, they find rats, they find candles, they find all the things. Also, we find Zack's cell phone, which we need. Back at the hospital, Zack starts coughing up something and we don't know what's going on. Is he choking? Is he dying? Is it a reaction, an allergy? It's that toe. That man had him swallow his own toe. Again, what I like about it is that I don't know what people have done themselves or what Max has done literally. And I think that's going to be the biggest part of the excitement in exploring this series more, figuring out what's going on. Yeah, just a mess. We discover that Byron is in fact dead with his mama, and they're chalking it up to the system. And again, we see mirroring here around, does the system create a monster? Because Byron was allegedly innocent going in. That's how we were able to get him out. And we can liken that to Max as well. Later in a conversation that he has where he is solicited by Noah to go and talk to a man who's on death row who they're trying to help, who only has a couple more weeks to live, Reuben. Reuben's like, yeah, I know you, man. I've heard about you, man. The system made me that way. He said, I wasn't a killer before I went into prison. And I'm thinking, okay, so where are we getting with that? I think that's very interesting. I think it's interesting that Max is taking this role. And in that conversation, it does seem earnest. But for what end? To what end and for what purpose? You know what I mean? These are the questions that kind of need answers. But Max is, figuring it out. He's making his way downtown. We're learning a little bit more about him. He says, yeah, I would never have hurt my wife and my unborn son. I'm, who I am with anger and all the things, but I would have loved my son. And so I'm wrestling with that fact. Like, did he actually do this crime? I know he'd probably done some other things, but did he do that? It's very interesting. Max is a manipulator. He is very smart. He is very cunning. And I'm just interested to see how this is going to go because Tom, as a husband, as a partner, is not going to be formidable. And I like that they took that approach because although Sam in the 1990s version was the husband and was the cause of all of their issues then, he wasn't formidable either. So I like that we put him in the back seat and brought Anna to the forefront to deal with this because I think she's more of a contender just in terms of duplicity. Because I don't like Anna. I don't. But Tom is very weak. He's very reactive. I don't know if that's because of the dope. I don't know if that's because that he's just a Lothario. I don't know what the situation is, but ultimately we're going to see. Now, at the end of episode 2, Max is touring new homes. Where is his home that he's sitting in, envisioning his family and what he's going to have and how he's going to have all this money? I don't know, baby. Because I was like, he wasn't necessarily, well, he was wrongly convicted, but I don't know. Is he going to get some sort of what is it? Some sort of reconciliation or reparation for being in the Pinta like they do with some cases? I don't know. We'll see. But he's definitely house shopping, and I don't know where that house is, but I fear that it's close to the Bowdens. Overall, I probably enjoyed episode 1 more than episode 2, but I'm excited to see where the story goes. I believe, in my opinion, this really dives into so many themes. I feel like we dive into guilt versus innocence, what legal compromise looks like, what public facing versus behind closed doors is, performance, like performative justice or performative goodness. I think we dive into that over here. Does the system create monsters versus rehabilitate them? I think these are all the things that we need to do. I want to know, coming out of this episode, what did Anna and Tom do specifically? Did they knowingly bury evidence that would have exonerated Max? Who ordered the prison hit? Because somebody did something there. Is Zack being groomed by Max? Is the girl who's trying to sleep with him every second really grooming him? At one part in episode 2, we have an encounter between Max and Zack in the hospital bathroom, and he's very much like F my parents. So I think immediately Max knows I can use him as a tool. So that'll be interesting. And who is this mystery recurring woman? that's dipping in and out? Does Anna have a damn twin sister? What is going on? These are questions I need to know. And how much of Max's story is truth and how much of it is fiction? I need to know all of that. Like, what has allowed them to tuck themselves at night over these last 17 years without a care in the world, putting someone behind bars? Was it like in the 90s movie where he already had a history of crime prior to that event? Or was he completely innocent, wrong place, wrong time? Did you know him from before? At some point when Max is recounting, his life about a Spanish mother and a father who was in the military, and the Spanish mother didn't want any kids, and she, is gone early, and he comes back to live with his father who tortured and abused him. We see a girl standing over watching. Is that Anna? Does this run much deeper than what we all think it is? I think these are great questions to ask. I think these are great themes in any story to really confront us with us and make you think outside the box. Now, in terms of critical reception, it landed around 77% on the tomato meter for Rotten Tomatoes, with big praise for Javier and for Adams. The main knock, the main dig that I'm seeing from a lot of reviewers is that this is too long. 10 episodes is way too long. I'm having a good time with it. It gives us time to build community around it and have conversations, and I love that. Now, as far as the sweet pea rating, out of 5 sweet peas, I give this a strong 4.2 sweet peas. Episodes 1 and 2 did their thing. I feel like this set us up for the season. It was just enough to get me hooked, and I'm going over here. Again, Javier works. He's the shining spot for me in this whole thing. I think his performance is incredible. If he's not nominated for something, I'll be side eyeing the people at the awards. The kids are important to this. Daughter's important, son is important. Now, in what ways will they work against each other, or will they end up working together against the parents? Really curious about what that's going to happen. I love that this is truly what I want to see in a reimagination. This is not just regurgitated Cape Fear that we've seen over and over again. This is a different story with different layers and added nuance, and I love that. I'm definitely hooked for the mystery of it all and the Decepticons, because come out of here. I need to know. For me, again, the strongest thing Cape Fear is doing is making the fear bigger than Max. This is about a system. This is about my public image. This is about my money. This is about my kids. This is about more than just me. And now everybody is about to pay for it. I cannot wait. Now, what I want to know from you, and I want to see it down in the comment sections, do the Bowdens deserve what's coming? Or is Max still the ultimate villain? And the dark side of righteous anger, where's the line for you? Is he justified in all of this if they did what we think he did? And my final question is Max a monster, or a monster that the system made? This is important, y'all. But you guys, let me know what you thought. I know this is long as hell. This is long as hell, long as hell. But you guys, thank you so much for being here. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all the things, honey. Hype me up. Like it though. Like it though. All right. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see y'all in the next video. Bye.